1,000 car dealers signing an open letter urging President Biden to tap the brakes.
4,000 auto dealers across the country and in Iowa are asking Biden to pump the brakes on.
The U.S. is charging full speed ahead into an electrified future, and the Biden administration is really stepping on the gas here. They're pouring billions into this electric dream. We're talking about great tax credits for consumers, sweet deals for EV manufacturers, and a whopping $7.5 billion just for setting up those zippy fast charging stations. It's like the government's painting the town green, all in the name of battling climate change and cutting down on those pesky emissions. But still, not everyone's riding this electric wave with the same enthusiasm. You see, a whopping 4,000 auto dealers are throwing a bit of a curveball at President Biden. They're banding together, asking, no, practically begging, the president to slam the brakes on this EV roller coaster. Why? Well, it's all about those super tough emissions targets the administration's setting for new vehicles till 2032. These targets are so tough, they're practically pushing carmakers to switch over to EVs. But why the sudden break on progress? Well, these dealers are on the front lines of the automotive market. They're the ones who talk to consumers every day, understanding their preferences, and they're noticing something crucial. EVs might be the future, but are consumers really ready to embrace this change right now? This is more than just a few unsold cars and a lot. It's a significant signal to the industry. These dealers, under the banner of EV Voice of the Consumer, are highlighting a mismatch between the current supply of EVs and the actual demand from consumers. It's a scenario where the market might not be as electrified about EVs as anticipated. To put their concerns into action, these dealers, all 3,882 of them from every state, have sent a powerful letter to the White House. Their plea to President Biden is straightforward. Rethink and recalibrate the pace of these EV mandates. It's a call for a more measured approach, ensuring the shift to electric vehicles aligns with consumer readiness and market reality. This situation raises some vital questions. Are we rushing towards an electric future without ensuring everyone's on board? How do we balance the urgent need for environmental sustainability with the current consumer market dynamics? These are the questions President Biden faces as he steers the nation's automotive policy. So, what does this mean for the future of EVs in the US? It's a complicated question. Balancing environmental imperatives with market realities is no small feat. So really, this letter to President Biden isn't just a plea, it's a spotlight on the need for policies that consider both the planet's health and the heartbeat of the market. As the administration navigates this challenge, the outcome will set a precedent. It's about finding that sweet spot where innovation, consumer readiness, and environmental responsibility meet. The road to an all-electric future is an exciting one, but it's clear that this journey needs careful navigation just to ensure nobody gets left behind. You see, early last year and the year before, EVs were all the rage, riding high on a wave of hope and excitement, especially among those early adopters keen on the latest tech. But now, it seems like that initial surge of enthusiasm has hit a bit of a speed bump. The reality, a growing pile of unsold battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, at dealerships, despite some pretty tempting price slashes, manufacturer sweeteners, and those attractive government incentives. The message from these dealers is becoming louder and clearer with each passing day. They're saying this big push for EVs might be a tad too ambitious, at least for now. The proof? Just look at their auction lots. These electric beauties are starting to gather dust instead of buyers, which these dealers argue is the truest measure of what people really want. Take a closer look, for instance, at Ford's F-150 Lightning, an electric pickup that initially had everyone talking. Mickey Anderson, who runs the Baxter Auto Group with 20 dealerships across Nebraska, Missouri, and Colorado, saw this firsthand. When the Lightning first hit the scene, it was like a bolt from the blue. Nearly 200 orders came flooding in. But fast forward a bit and the story changes. That list of eager buyers dwindled down, and out of 1,000 F-Series trucks sold last year, only 25 were Lightnings. Now, Anderson's got about a half year's supply of Lightnings. That's 12 trucks sitting and waiting for buyers. He's pulling out all the stops to move them, stacking up to $14,000 in incentives from Ford and his own dealership deals, plus the sweet $7,500 federal tax break. But even with all these efforts, and despite acknowledging the top-notch technology of these EVs, Anderson points out a crucial hitch: the everyday challenges the average American faces with an all-EV lifestyle. He's a big believer in EVs, no doubt, but honestly, if he's candid in his assessment to Axios about the current state of play in the EV market, we might be in for some trouble. Now, according to the majority of dealers, there are many reasons that customers are giving EVs the cold shoulder at the moment. First off, the price tag on these electric rides is still a bit too steep for many buyers. Then there's the whole charging situation. Lots of people don't have a spot to charge up their EV at home, and finding a public charger, then waiting around to get powered up? Yeah, not exactly everyone's idea of a good time. What's honestly worse is that many EV owners are actually trading their electric dreams back in for old school gas guzzlers. Why? Well, towing a trailer or driving in extreme temperatures turns out to be a real drain on the battery, slashing that promised driving range. And here's another reality. Those who made the switch to electric are finding out that EV tires wear out faster than they expected. Not the kind of bonus they were looking for, right? Now, let's hear it from Mary Rice, who's running a Toyota dealership over in Greensboro, North Carolina. She's laying it out straight. Selling EVs in her market is like trying to push a boulder uphill. In her neck of the woods, people are going bananas over the newly redesigned Prius hybrids. But the fully electric BZ4X SUVs? They're just sitting there, collecting dust. Rice puts it bluntly: if people were dying to have EVs, it'd be great because then I could sell them, she said last November. Instead, I'm going to be at the end of the year with this car no one wants. There's no amount of money that makes sense for an EV here. You see, since the COVID-19 pandemic hit, car dealers have been riding a wave of super strong profits. Why? Well, those supply chain hiccups led to fewer cars around, which meant the ones that were available could fetch some pretty high prices. But now, as the electric car variety blooms and the demand starts to stall, we're seeing a bit of a price tussle breaking out. And guess what? This has got the bigwigs in the automotive world rethinking their EV bets. But it's not just the automakers feeling the squeeze. The dealers are in a bit of a pinch too. Take some Ford dealers, for instance. They're not exactly thrilled about the prospect of shelling out big bucks for EV charging setups and training as part of the big electric shift. Ford, sensing the mood, told Automotive News that they're easing up on some of those hefty dealer demands. Honestly, they're tuning their EV strategy to the market's rhythm and listening to what the dealers are piping up about. So, where do we stand? EVs are about 7.5% of new cars sold in the US, per Cox Automotive, with California leading the charge. But here's a reality check. EVs are still just a tiny blip on the radar, barely 1% of all cars on the road in the US. Even in EV-happy California, only 3.5% of the cars cruising around are electric. Lastly though, even with lower prices and those government perks, EVs are still a bit too pricey for a lot of folks. Bottom line, as Anderson puts it, well-meaning government policies need to make sure they're not leaving the average Joe and Jane all alone in the rearview mirror. He points out that we've been far too busy catering to the Tesla crowd, the well-off 1 to 2%ers. What about the everyday people, for whom a car isn't a luxury but a downright necessity? Alright guys, that wraps up our video today. What's your take on the EV revolution? Are you ready to jump on the bandwagon, or are you waiting to see how things play out? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe for more insightful content. We're always here to bring you the latest and keep you in the loop. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video.